The EFF has slammed the Department of Home Affairs for failing to control the queues at the Beitbridge border during the festive season. Hundreds of travelers spent days at the border waiting to be assisted by officials, which led to some truck drivers being hospitalised and others losing their lives. EFF MP Beitbridge says the main problem was the lack of capacity and preparation by the Department of Home Affairs.
The main problem was the Port of Health. They did not deploy people. When we went there was only one person who was working, and SNADF. You never dwelt on that. You've got only one slide on Port of Health, one or two slides on Port of Health. Should have dwelt more. The slide which is here, which is proper, is slide 12. Slide 12 it tells you what was the problem. Because if you look using science, because you need to be using science, stop being political. You always political things when you're presenting us reports and engage, you always been political, because you see that is why, Minister, you always go on TV and say that those people of those committees are incompetent. Maybe we don't read these reports. You must use science. Science told you that the people who are crossing over it looks as if there were less. The problem was you should identify what was the main problem, and we advise you as a committee. The main problem was the coordination of the Port of Health. Port of Health did not deploy enough people. You had, in the screening area, there were only 2 people. In a sea of many people who wanted to actually come into SA. So I agree with Member Kanyina, we need to have another meeting, Chairperson, to get a detailed report in terms of the COVID-19 implementation, those regulations, sanitizing, social distances. We must get pictures that it was done, because in Limpopo there was none. For the people who were sitting there, there was no social distancing and all of that. But we must be honest here. When we're having a mediocre presentation, we must say that it was mediocre presentation. It was done at haste as a tick box exercise. And we must not actually allow those kind of things there.
Well, the EFF Member of Parliament and Committee Member Beitbridge joins us now to unpack the issues he had with the particular presentation that was made today by the Acting Commissioner. Good evening and welcome to Newsfeed Late Night.
Good evening, Ibratabo. I hope everything's okay, and good evening also to the viewers at home.
Now, it seems from what I'm listening to, you were less than impressed with the presentation today from Home Affairs. So before we get into the issues that you're raising sharply, give me your overall impressions about that presentation and what it says about our state of readiness to open our borders on Monday.
No, the presentation for me, I was actually doing my oversight role. As you know, that as a member of parliament, we must take this, we must hold the executive accountable as enshrined into the constitution. So, one, when I look into the presentation, I looked at it in detail. I found that slide number 1 up to 10 is that the department was fundraising an excuse to exonerate themselves on the chaos that happened at Beitbridge in December. You might have actually, everyone has seen that. So I actually got very annoyed because that matter, it was closed. We've closed the matter because the portfolio committee took it upon itself to go and do an oversight at the Beitbridge, and then we went to Libombo as well. So all parties, we came to an agreement. There was a report that was written, an oversight report. And what we've cited on that oversight report was number 1, there was a lack of political will from Dr. Aaron Mutswale. Number 2, there was a lack of coordination of all stakeholders. Who are these stakeholders? Is your police, is your SARS, the intelligence, everyone, and especially the Port of Health. Leave everything else, the noise behind, because we went there to look at what really is the issue.
Yeah.
And when we got there, you found that, no, actually the problem was with the Port of actually Health. So the whole presentation it was actually a way of exonerating themselves. They were trying to sneak it through the back door and trying to say, no, it was not us, it was other people. We said to them, take accountability and make sure that this does not actually happen. They were in the committee meeting 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And then I got very angry because we advised them that these are the things that you need to do. Number one, you need to make sure you sit in these meetings and make sure that Board of Health comes into party and make sure that this is done properly as well. So you find that there was the meetings that they were supposed to be having, they were just hanging, they were not finalized. They had meetings with the Board of Health, but there was no commitment in terms of how many personnel are going to be deployed so that you avoid interior crisis that is there.
So let's look at that. I mean, up until today, when they came to Parliament, they were still going to have a meeting with the Department of Health at around 2 o'clock. We'll find out from the Minister in a moment if they've had that meeting and whether anything concrete came out of it. But the fact that they still came to this meeting without that kind of commitment, how seriously are they taking this process of oversight that you're playing? But not only that, how seriously are they taking the duty that they have in opening those ports and in ensuring that that coordination is there? Because quite honestly, it's clear, even in their report, that coordination was not there in December. By the looks of things, it's still not there now because they don't have any commitment or agreement as to what's the amount of personnel from health that is going to be at the borders.
But that's exactly the point. That's why I said I'm not going to accept this mediocre, the presentation is a tick box exercise because there is no concrete plan to say, number one, we've spoken to the stakeholder. These are the people that are going to be, especially we advise them on Board of Health. Leave everything else, let me focus on Board of Health. The main problem, we must put it also at the door of Dr. Zweli Mkhize. We must say it here. He must come also here. He must also account because he keeps on running away. Board of Health did not come to party. And the Board of Health, the Board of Entrance became super spreaders.
Yeah.
We've got visuals. Yeah, we've got visuals, Pratap. There were visuals where lots of queues waiting for COVID-19.
So there seemed to be that picture that was presented again today, pictures of immigration being empty with officers waiting there. I think at some point they're saying their immigration officers were coming up to 140 while there were only 20 and 2 testing stations at Port Health. And that was where the congestion was.
Exactly. That is the main problem. And you find that these guys are very stubborn. We advise them as the committee because it looks as if they have a tendency of undermining this committee. Yeah. That is the problem why I got irritated because we give them, we do some resolution. We give them a resolution of the committee, go and do 1, 2, 3, 4. They come and do something else. We told them that go and talk to Board of Health. They must increase the personnel because the problem was that there was a lack of capacity for the people to test for COVID-19. And then there's some other guy, then I think one of us said, they say that the whole process takes 15 minutes. But I'm a Marxist. I believe in science. We even did, I take theory and apply and take it into, I take a theory and I translate it into the, that test takes 2 minutes. That antigen takes 2 minutes. Screening takes not less than about 3 minutes, can take 5 minutes. We did it with the secretary of the committee so that we can prove it to ourselves. And we advised this department that through the minister, please look into increasing the capacity of testing of COVID-19 because he's going to cause, again, I tell you right now, he's going to cause a stampede there. He's not going to do what we're actually supposed to, we're advising to.
Well, let's look at what they're saying. I mean, over and above all the other protocols, which generally should be in place, I think the acting commissioner says there'll be markings there done by this weekend. In fact, there will be also facilities that will be put there for sanitizing and so forth that need to be there. But let's look at the 2 things that they're saying they will implement. One is a ticketing system, which they're saying will be there by the 14th of February, according to the service provider. And 2 is the limiting of the truckers to a 700-meter queue. I think that, to me, sounds like the two new things that they will be implementing over and above, I must repeat, everything else that they will implement that is already part of the protocols of COVID-19. Is that enough?
It's not enough. It's not going to work. I tell you now, it's not going to work. Actually, it was part of the input that I was actually going to, to actually give. It's in my notes here, is that you can't, this thing, it's very simple. You can't introduce queuing, the system there. Remember that ports are going to be open in the next, let's say we are assuming that on Monday. Let's say if the president decides that, is going to open them up. So between now and then, to actually put that, it's useless. What they need to do, and I'm repeating this, they need to make sure that they increase capacity. My suggestion, using mathematics and science. They must put at least 10 testing, there must be 10 people who are going to be testing there, they're doing the test, and there must be also almost between 10 and 20 people who are going to be doing this, the screening there, and making sure that there is payment system, because some of the people there, they could not pay for that test because some of the machines were not working. I mean, the payment machine was not working. We were there. So there's a lot of it that these guys, they actually have to do. The Libombo port, Tabo, was even worse. There was no COVID-19 regulation. There was no sanitation, no social distancing at all. But we're here to see, because us as the EFF, we are going to, through my chief whip, I'm going to request that maybe we go into all these actually ports of entry and ensure that all what they are going to say that is going to be implemented. Because I tell you right now, that place is going to be chaotic again. It's going to be another super spreader that we've actually seen. So, Aaron, the problem here that we're actually facing is that there's a lack of political will from Dr. Aaron Mutsualedi, who always speaks a lot, but he does less. And also with Dr. William Kize, they should be there. They should be hands-on. They should be involved. And I'm asking myself to them, they've never been there. Aaron Mutsualedi never went there and did any oversight. So that's why we're saying that with every resolution that we are taking of Home Affairs is not taking it,
right,
serious on that. Yeah.
We'll find out from the minister if he has conducted oversight there.
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for him. He'll come and talk for himself on this platform. EFF MP Mgcini Chwaku, appreciate your time and thank you very much for joining us tonight.